Hey, what's up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and up for review today is the Suunto 9 Peak. This watch is fantastic, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. I've got a ton of other reviews coming out, the Verdicts 2 and the Fitbit Charge 5 and the Whoop 4.0 and a bunch of other things alongside it. I want to say a big special thank you to one of the subscribers, Jason Davis, who actually loaned me his personal watch when he saw in one of the videos that I didn't have access to one so that I could actually test it. And I am super fired up that he did because I'm excited to actually give this review and these details because of it. It turned out to be a great watch. So we're going to look at it a few different things. We're going to look at it just the overall design, and then we're going to go straight into comparing it against the Suunto 9 just to sort of see the overall size and spec differences. We're going to talk about the training features. We're going to see those training features on the watch, see the training features in the app itself. We're going to talk about its general wellness and general features, both on the watch and on the app, and then we're going to come back together for a summary. So with that, let's dive in. We're going to look at the watch itself. We're going to look at it compared to a Suunto 9. Then we're going to talk about what we see. Okay, so the Suunto 9 Peak. Look at the design. I mean, I just feel like one thing I just want to stop before we compare it to the Suunto 9 Non-Baro, Suunto 9 Regular is the design and the build quality. It is sleek. It is sharp. And if you had the black one, it's even more sleek in my opinion. I just like black over silver. The buttons are a little recessed, but they have a fantastic clicky feel. The touchscreen works really well. It's always been relatively smooth, even if there's a delay in some of the data flowing. It always registers the touches, and that's been really great. The band itself, I mean, look at the quick release there. Just high quality. That's silly, but it's got like a fancy little quick release. And then the quality of the band itself is great because, you know, it loops through and then it just snaps in place with that. So you don't have that loop, which is just genius. Why can't other watches do that? The quality of the band feels good. Everything about this just feels like high quality. Look at the little holes. Everything has just got a touch of excellence to it. So let's compare it to the Suunto 9. Okay, when comparing these two side by side, just to get some actual measurements, because somebody asked specifically for that. So obviously, this is the Suunto 9 Non-Baro coming in at like right at 50 millimeters. And then thickness wise, that was what somebody specifically asked for because of the heart rate monitor. 16.5, 16.4, 16.5 on the thickness of the traditional. And then if you look at the size of the face, 43.2, and then with the heart rate monitor, there's a little bit of a bump back there. If you take it into account, it's 12.7, so it's not exactly 10.6. So that'll affect obviously some of the measurements we were talking about as far as the difference in size. And then if you actually were to try to measure the screen width, 30 millimeters on the rough screen width there, and then screen width on this one, you're looking at about 34.3 millimeters. And then this is a different band, but I'm just going to sort of disregard that for now just to get some basic weight. So 41 grams with a soft band versus with the full regular band, 71 grams. So that's the differences between the regular Suunto 9 Non-Baro, which is a hair more small in diameter than the Suunto 9 Peak. Obviously, there's a huge difference in just overall size. And in my testing, it is definitely a difference in the quality of the screen and the colors and the blacks. This is much better quality. Okay, so what do we see compared to the Suunto 9? And just looking at the Suunto 9 Peak, it is a super nice build quality. It is just top of the notch. I mean, top of the notch across the board. The buttons, the band, every single piece about it. And then you compare it to the Suunto 9 Regular, just the Non-Baro that I had on hand, as well as just compared to some of the others. It's 43% smaller. So that is considerably smaller, and it has all of the same features. So it's not like it's missing some aspects. It's got all the same features with some upgrades, with some additional features. Not a ton of additional features, but it's 43% smaller. The brightness, I did a light meter test. It is 42% brighter. So from all the things that I was feeling, it definitely felt like it was a felt difference brighter, but it's 42% brighter. And as I'm telling you, as I've said it before, the colorization, the quality of the colorization is much crisper, much better than on the Suunto 9s that I've tested in the past, both the Baro as well as the Non-Baro. You are getting a shrunken down screen. So like we saw in that video, it's 30 millimeters versus 34 millimeters. So it's 22% smaller screen area, but hey, and it's 28% lighter. So it's 28% lighter, 42% brighter and better quality screen, and 43% smaller casing and body. So you give up a little bit on the screen size, but I haven't found that I've missed anything. So battery life has been the same, 6.5 days for the battery life of the Suunto 9 Peak, which is about the exact same as I tested on the Suunto 9. So 6.5 days of quality usage in a compact design, all the beautiful, all the fantastic features of the Suunto 9 itself, but in just a much sleeker, much, in my opinion, better looking, overall classier watch. So with that, let's look at some of the training features, because obviously that's what we're here for, is for testing devices for CrossFit training. Let's look at the training features on the watch, and then we'll look at it on the app and come back. And before we look at the training features on the watch and on the app, I really need to say just at the outset, the heart rate accuracy is not good when you're wearing it just using the optical heart rate sensor on the back of the watch for doing CrossFit or high intensity interval. Do not use this watch for that particular function. You have to connect to a chest strap. The chest strap gives you the ability, if you wanted to set the watch. You don't have to wear it. If it bothers you during workout, you can set it off to the side. The chest strap will be sending all the heart rate data, and it's going to give you the workout exertion information, but you have to use it. It's like 40% accurate. I mean, it's meaning 60%. It's just missing everything or all the primary higher end heart rate peaks. So with that, let's look at the training features just in summary. And these are all features when using a chest strap, just looking at the quality of the evaluation of the workouts and the training over time. Okay, so what do you see when you actually want to go into a workout? You just simply go up and you go into it. This is just the data field, so I can show you a sample of what it looks like. So we're just gonna get it started. You hear the nice little soft beep. And okay, so these are the data fields you set. So you see the heart rate in the middle. You can change some of these things. You got the time up top. I like that it just sort of shows a perma-time. If you want to track your rounds for time, you can just click this button and it'll track your laps. It'll give you your time per round if you wanted to use laps as round counter. And then you can obviously scroll through and see different data fields across the board, and you can change these in the app, but really, really useful information. And then you just sort of tip that. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. Okay, so that's deleted. So now if you wanted to see like an actual workout summary after it's over, this is exactly the same thing you're gonna see on the watch when you get done. So a really useful set of just basic information. Again, I can't tell if the camera's picking it up, but the screen quality is really great. The colors, the blacks, everything is really sharp. You get your heart rate graph, you get your time per zone, you get your calories burned, your recovery time. So again, I usually take that and multiply it times 2 because that's really low, because this is 3.8 training effect on a 5-point scale, and this is your epoch, which is like your exertion level. So it's saying that like I really pushed my fitness, as well as I really had higher intensity in that workout because my body's going to need more oxygen to recover. My recovery time is 16 hours, which is really not probably right, So that's what you can see in the watch itself on the workout once you get done. And then as far as what you see from a training perspective on the watch, before we look at the app to see how it shows your training over time, is just a few basic things. So you basically have your training time. This is just sort of like a time counter. And then if you click that one time, it'll show your recovery time. Again, it's always going to be a little bit low. The other thing is you can see your fitness level. This is if you track a run, you're going to see, what, level of fitness you're at and what age, fitness age it's giving you. On the training screens, you actually just get your like total time of training for the week and your total activities on average over the last periods of time. So not as useful as what we're going to see in the app. So let's take a look. All right, so this is the Suunto landing page, just to give you sort of basic overview. This is just like at the top, you can see there's 4 dots in the middle of the page. That's where you like scroll through different aspects. This is your summary of like days of the month you worked out and what type of workout you did, the total time you accumulated in each workout type. So I did cross training and running. I basically do a recovery run every Sunday and do CrossFit the rest of the time. So this is a summary we'll come back to with just overall stuff and stats with your workouts, and then the wellness. And then this is just your simple aspects. This is today, just how many calories you burned. So let's look at what results you get from seeing a workout itself, and then we'll look at the training load evaluation in the app. So I do love that if you do the cross-training workout type, it shows a picture of a CrossFit gym. That's just a nice little touch. So in this main box with these 9 fields, this is the primary content for workout evaluation. So it's got the recovery time, which is obviously how much time you need from that hard workout to the next. The TSS score is the training stress score, and that's what flows through to training load within training peak. So that's like an evaluation of how hard the workout was. The PTE in the bottom left box is your training effect, and it's a scale of 0 to 5. And so basically they say anything 2 to 3 is, they give you a whole chart. 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 is improving your fitness. 1 to 2 is just basic for foundation, and 5 you're really killing yourself. And then there's EPOC, which is the bottom right, and that's your excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. So like how intense the workout was, and it gives you a little blurb for that too. So heart rate zones, everything is relatively simple there, but the content of these stats is worthwhile because they give you basically 4 primary workout exertion metrics: recovery time, training stress score, training effect, and EPOC. So that's a lot of great content, and some of it's coming from Suunto, some of it's coming from Training Peaks, so it's fantastic they evaluated in there. You get your whole training list. The main thing is on this second tab over in the top left is your productive training, your progress. So we'll click into that. This is your training load. This is the center of it all, and this is from Training Peaks. It is super useful. So you have your basic status down below where you're either losing, keeping, productively training, or going too hard. And it gives you specifics. So if I was to click on any of these words at the top, so let's say you see the 26 fitness, that's my fitness level. If you click on that, it'll say, okay, here's what all these words mean. You have to kind of go through this and read through it. If you hit that read more button, it actually has a lot more details. It's worthwhile if you're buying a Suunto watch to go through and read these things and think about what information is actually being communicated. Because if you look and you see the form on the third one down, it's about workload, compares to your long-term training load and your short-term training load. So is your short-term training load higher or lower than your long-term? And that determines whether you're productively pushing yourself harder. But on the form graph, it's all negative. So I don't know why they do that. That seems super counterintuitive, that if you are working yourself better than you have in the past, you would get a negative score. That doesn't make sense to me, but it gives you still an evaluation. Over time, you actually learn how to see these things in different lights. You can hold your little finger there and it'll tell you where you're at different periods of time. I just mainly track my fitness level and then in general look at the form level, because my form is a little bit lower. You can see on the graph it's lower than it was at other points, which means I'm just sort of slightly pushing my fitness higher. But that's super useful information. Super useful information. The EPOC and the training effect do not flow anywhere. The recovery time flows through to the watch, but it's a little bit low in the metrics. But let's come back together and talk about the workout evaluations and the training load. Okay, so looking at what you see in the watch, or on the watch, in the workout, plenty of data. You can adjust what data fields you see in the app itself, so you can customize it to your liking. But I feel like it's got plenty of data fields available on the watch face itself. I like that it has the time on there. I just think it's got a basic, fantastic summary of all the information you could possibly need in the workout itself. I like that you can see after the workout all the main information. I like the touchscreen works really well, so everything is great in those functional aspects. But obviously in the app is where the meat and potatoes are. It's where you get the basic content for evaluating your training load over time and your fitness development through CrossFit and high intensity interval training, or through whatever your training method and methodology is. I feel like it is fantastic that they have the Training Peaks, and the Training Peaks has quality content. The thing I don't like about Training Peaks is the verbiage they use and the titling of different things. And I feel like the form chart is actually counterintuitive. So the form is negative if you're actually increasing your exertion. So it just, you have to read through some of the overview and the details explanation of what it is that it's providing. But overall, the quality of it is fantastic. And then Suunto has their own evaluation aspects that come into the watch. So you get the training effect, which is that sort of 0 to 5 score for like the overall exertion of the workout, how hard it was. It really relates to, are you developing and pushing your fitness level higher through that 0 to 5 score? So if you're over like 2.5, you're pushing, it gives you the range, tells you what each of the ranges mean as well. And it gives you the EPOC, which is the excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which basically an evaluation of the overall rigor and intensity of the workout. So how much oxygen does your body have to take in after the workout? So the higher the score, the more intense, the harder you hit your body. So I feel like that's useful information. Those information peaks come from Suunto's calculations, and I think some from First Beat calculations, but the recovery time is the only one that's got a little asterisk by it. Recovery time's always been a little bit too low, so I'll have a high training effect and a high EPOC, and recovery time will still be like 12 hours. So I always found that comparing it to the Garmin, which is I think the industry leader for recovery time evaluation, workout to workout, I've found that if you just take it and multiply it times 2, it's great, and then you got it good to go. On the watch itself, you're obviously getting a countdown timer of recovery time, so if you multiply it times 2, it's still going to disappear in 12 hours. But either way, that's how you can sort of evaluate your workout intensity. So with that, let's look at the wellness and then the general usage details on the watch and in the app and come back together. Okay, so what about general use? All the notifications really do come in fine. So you can actually see your notifications by swiping over. So, you can click into any of these things and it'll show you more information. And then you can go back out by swiping to the left. As far as overall wellness, the basic things, the first thing I'm just going to say is the pulse ox. I mean, look, the last time it was correctly assessed was 9:21 because it just hasn't worked since then. So, now it's not 9:21. It's considerably later in the month and it still hasn't gotten an accurate reading. So you just skip right over that. This is a primary thing for wellness tracking. This is your resources. So it shows you how much exertion your body, how much strain your body's been under throughout the day. The resources are an evaluation of heart rate variability, and it tracks basically your stress throughout the day and your recovery at night. So you can see, how unrecovered I am at 0%. It is really hard on you, so it sort of depletes a little bit more quickly than I think it maybe should, but overall it's a very useful metric for tracking. This is your sleep, so you can go into sleep and see specifics like the total time, and then you can scroll down and see your sleep log and you can get into the details. It doesn't do a big pretty graph, and you'll see in the app it doesn't do it there either, but total time, the overall evaluation, like your sleep score, is this quality score, and 61% is probably accurate for last night. So I've found that the sleep score, which what they call quality, is actually really spot on, in my opinion, from what I've been experiencing or feeling. Time of sleep, time I woke up, whatever. And then the deep sleep is an evaluation that's worthwhile. It doesn't give you all the stages of sleep that some of the watches do, but overall it's still really useful. And then, the basic things that you get in the watch just for functional, you get your, barometric altimeter, so it's got a, barometer built into it. You got your training time for the week and the recovery time. That's not as useful. Your steps and calories, those things, I feel like are not super useful pieces of information, or not something that I look at least on a regular basis. Your heart rate. So simply, it's got all the main functions you would need from like a smartwatch feature standpoint in basic terms, coupled with excellent fitness features. Let's look at some of the wellness features on the app. Okay, so back here, look at wellness and the benefits there, as well as just general benefits. This is just your total workout time, that first tab. You scroll over, and this is where some of the wellness and other features come through. So first thing most often we talk about is sleep. This gives you a summary of the day, and it starts out and it shows you your sleep as well as your recovery, your resources when you wake up. These are super useful. So the sleep, you can see I fell short of my goal, but the main thing is in this middle piece right below where it says wake up resources. So that shows how much I regenerated, how much my heart basically recovered by tracking my heart rate variability. So anything green is resources, and anything resources is heart rate variability, which is an evaluation of how much your heart is recovering or weakening because of how much it's variation is between beats. So in the middle, though, below that green bar is the workout specifics. The sleep specifics, and the sleep score, good Lord, is 61%. So I don't know why they have it so small, but that's the sleep score. 61%, that is probably, it's always been relatively accurate as I've been wearing this watch. So I did get a poor night's sleep. It wasn't fantastic. And you can see right there, I only gained 26% resources while I slept. So it was just not optimal. And then you can see, so the sleep score is that small little 61%. It's a little bit more visible on the watch, which is where you're going to see it when you wake up, because it gives you a little good morning message with your sleep evaluation, which I really like. And then below that, you can see your resources. So I basically ran to zero pretty quickly. It is really hard on me. At least it shrinks me down pretty quick. I have to get a lot of sleep to make it catch up. But overall, this is tracking like how depleted I am. And so it's making me more aware of how much recovery I need, either by relaxing state of mind, not working out too hard, not carrying too much stress at work, or getting extra sleep. So that's the summary of the basic wellness features. You can see a lot of these other features, and I'm just going to touch on that. You can see, obviously your workout time log, which is that top right one, your steps and your calories. So all the generic information. If you go down the bottom in the middle, so you can see this in calendar, like what days you worked out and what types of workout you're doing. And then here you can see just simple chart forms of all of those same basic things. The only chart they don't provide you is the resources, like how, what your peak resources were in the day. So that's kind of a bummer, but either way, you can see charts of your information over time, which is just good generic information. So let's come back. Okay, so what do I think of the wellness aspects? I feel like the sleep is quality information just in simple form. So it doesn't give you the detail form. It doesn't break down like the amount of time in every area. It doesn't show you a pretty graph of those things. It just says, here's your total, here's a basic score, just the overall percentage, worthwhileness of your sleep. And your sleep, you basically get light and deep. So it doesn't give you the specific aspects, but I do like that it gives you a deep sleep number, or how much time you spent in deep sleep. The downside with the sleep is that because there's not enough detail, and you can't adjust the time. So if it actually is off by an hour or 2 hours for when you went to bed, which has happened, you can't actually adjust it in any way that I've found to make it more accurate, so that it gives you more of a clear evaluation. So you got to wonder sometimes, so those percentage, like the quality of sleep, is it accurate because it's taken the wrong period of time? But overall, I feel like the sleep analytics are worthwhile. They're not a jumbled mess, and I do feel like because it's coming from First Beat Analytics, I feel like it's quality information. And then the resources. The resources is a big deal, and I can't stress it enough. A lot of watches sort of take snapshots of heart rate variability when you're sleeping to determine recovery and how ready for the next day you are. But this takes heart rate variability tracking all the time. So it's tracking your heart rate variability all the time, which is a measure of how much stress and exertion your body is under, how much stress you're under throughout the day, and how rested and how well you slept, and how much it helped your cardio recovery as you slept. So the resource is actually super useful information because it's taking your heart rate variability all the time. It's taking into account stress, quality of sleep, intensity of the workout, and it's giving you a percentage of how much internal resources you still have left, and really more how much percentage of heart strength you actually have from the day. The negative side of the resources are twofold. One, the minor issue is that it actually feels like it's a little hard on you. So like I'll go down to zero pretty easily, and I do run pretty hard, but at the same time, it's probably a little bit overly hard on you with how much your resources are depleting, but I still feel like it's tracking the same flow on a day-to-day basis, so you can still see trends, you can still have an evaluation of how you recovered and slept. And then the other major bad thing, or the challenging thing for me, is you can't see history. You can only see the last 24 hours or since midnight the night before, so you can't really see your trends over a long period of time, which is useful information, especially for heart rate variability, to be able to see that. But at least they have the heart rate variability and the resource tracking over the time. So with that, let's talk about general use quality. So Notifications, great. All the notifications came through the watch, came through on my phone, came through to the watch. Everything is easy to read. You don't have to do a major wrist raise to get the notification to actually pop up or populate on the watch face itself. You can just sort of glance down and there it is. Fantastic there. The wrist raise backlight has been great. It's got an ambient light sensor. It's a little bit more dim than I like, and you actually have to press a button to activate the full brightness of the backlight, if that's how you set the brightness of the backlight. But it does adjust for the light, and so it is, it is functionally at least aware of your surroundings, so that's great. The vibration's great. I even like the beeps on it. As I have said in previous videos, I turn off the beeps in almost every watch I've ever tested, and I just didn't turn them off in this because I feel like it's just sort of a nice little soft beep when you get a notification. Screen is great. Again, I can't say it enough. The quality of the watch is fantastic. The design, the build, everything's excellent about it. And then I like some of the minor aspects. I mean, I don't care about step counting or calorie counting necessarily, but it's all built into the watch if you want to scroll through the widgets to be able to see that. I do like that it has a fitness age. Now, you have to run to get a fitness age because that's really VO2 max. But I do like that it's got that calculation for VO2 max, and it gives you a fitness age alongside it. So with that, let's talk about the summary. So what do I think of the Suunto 9 Peak when using it for CrossFit training specifically? I think outside of the major caveat that you have to have a chest strap, it has to connect to a chest strap in order to accurately give you quality information back. It is not accurate when it's tracking it using the optical heart rate sensor in a workout itself when worn on the wrist and doing CrossFit. But that aside, and I always say to everybody on all videos, you have to wear a chest strap when you're doing CrossFit workouts. You have to. I mean, there's just no optical heart rate sensor that tracks accurately. And if you want something that's providing quality content back out to you, you have to give it quality content in, which is heart rate accuracy. So with that aside, and the fact that every other watch has to have a chest strap to connect with, we'll just sort of dismiss that or put it off to the side. I feel like this is a fantastic watch for CrossFit. It has got all of the same data and details that the Suunto 9, has, except for it's not in a big bulky watch. It's got all of the quality training load aspects with training peaks being added. So you can see your training load over time, fitness development, your fatigue levels. It's got all of Suunto's specifics and some of First Beat specifics with the training effect and the epoch evaluation, the recovery time, even if it's a little bit low, you just multiply it times 2 and hey, you're great. It's got all of the basic things you would need, plus it has all the wellness things you would need. Quality sleep evaluation, even if it's not as detailed as we would want, it's still quality sleep analytics as well as the resources. Quality analytics there for how depleted you are just in general life use. It's got all the main features you would want just in the smartwatch features you would expect with a sports tracking watch, and it does all of this in a high quality design, good looking watch, solid build quality. You don't feel like it's going to break in half if you actually bang it up against a rack or something. And it's got great backlight, easy readability, and 6.5 days of battery life. So boom, with that is a fantastic solution for CrossFit training, CrossFit tracking, CrossFit evaluation, high intensity interval training. So with that, that is the Suunto 9 Peak. It's a Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much to Jason Davis for loaning me his watch. I will get it back to you safe and sound with many tears in my departure from it. Thanks so much for watching.